Hey everybody, welcome back to Ant Lab Games. Today we are going to play the single player or solitaire version of La Granja by Stronghold Games. So normally this is a 1 to 4 player game that could take anywhere between an hour and a half, but as a single player this playthrough should only take us about, I don't know, 40 minutes at max. I mean, that's taking into account some of the explanations and going through some of the rules. But for the most part, it should be pretty fast moving as we get into it. But what I'll do to begin this playthrough is essentially just go through really quickly the required components for setup, because you're not going to be using them all. And a quick overview of the turn order, a look at the board and the components, and then we'll jump right into it. So let's look at what you'll need to start a single-player game of La Granja. Alright, so aside from one of the main player boards, you're going to need a few of the different components. You will need the second and third player token. You will need all 3 of the building order markers. You're going to need some player markers. So for this playthrough I'm going to choose blue. You will need an opponent. So I will choose red for that. It could be any of the colors, doesn't matter. But you're going to need to represent the opponent on the board as we start to play. So you'll see how that works. You're going to need donkey markers. So you'll need at least just one set of 4 for yourself. You're going to need your starting silver and your starting victory point markers. You will need 5 dice, the deck of cards, your player aid, and that should be it for this set. Now let's look at the player board and show you what I've already got set up. Okay, so here we have the player board. What we have up here are your roof markers, right? So you've got basically rounds 1 through 6. And now I'm going to go through this as if I expect you already know how to play this on the basic level. So I'm not going to go into great detail on the game mechanics, and I'm no expert at this game either, but for the most part this is how we keep track of what round we're in. This game is going to be 6 rounds. So these are your roof markers. Normally you would set them up with 4, like 1 per player, but for the single player game you're basically setting it up for a 2-player. So you've got 2 of each marker randomly drawn face down for each round. And we've got the 2 for round 1 that we've drawn randomly as well. These are going to start face up. An easy way to remember how many is that for 1 or 2 players you're going to use these 2 first spaces. For 3 or 4 players you would go in the 3rd and 4th slot. So those are going to start there, and then every round we're going to clear off what we haven't bought and then add the next round's roof tiles face up, or the roof markers face up. So we also have our craft markers. So you're only going to need 1 of each because we're going to be the only player buying them. And you can only buy 1 per marker, so you'll understand why we don't need more than 1 at each station. So I've got 1 for each station, and now we've got to basically roll dice to determine which of our buildings are going to be closed, at least for the start of the game, with our building order markers. So let's go ahead and roll those up and then place them, and we should be a little bit closer to starting. Alright, so at the start of the game we need to block off 3 of the craft buildings. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So you basically just roll a d6, and we're going to block off 1 at a time, starting with block marker number 1, building 3. And each building has a symbol of a die face, 1 through 6. So there's building 3. We roll 3 again. Here's a 4. So number 2 is going to go on the 4. And number 2 is here. So those are the 3 craft buildings that are going to be blocked for the start of the game. And the only way to unblock them is to complete a fill order for any one of the other open buildings. So as we complete those orders, these will open up in number order, and you'll earn an extra victory point. We've also got to block, well not block, but identify not identify, but populate, that's the word I'm looking for, each of these gray areas outside of each of these buildings, right? And what that's going to do is give the person who completes an order at each of these buildings a bonus victory point. And then you would put your player token here to identify that you've done it and that you can no longer do that building or complete orders at that building because you get the bonus for doing that. So that's set up now. We've got that situated. Now we're going to take, this is for the for the single player variant, you're going to take these two, we're going to shuffle them up, and then I'm just going to drop one of them out at random, so it's a 3. So the 3 is going to be me, and the 2 is going to be my opponent. And my opponent now starts on the number 2. I start on the number 3, and I will be the second player for the first round, okay? So I will put my token on this siesta track, and we'll go through what that means as we start the playthrough. Alright, a couple more things we need to take care of. So we start with, in addition to our 1 silver and our 1 victory point, we start with 1 trade commodity. And the trade commodity in this game is like a wild card and can be exchanged for a number of things throughout the game. And there's a lot of very loose rules around when you can take these sort of free actions. And so exchanging these, for example, for either 4 silver, for 2 different types of harvest goods, or either playing a card or drawing a card, getting a pig, or upgrading some of your harvest goods, that can all be taken, with one of these, exchanged for it at any point, basically. And upgrading a good in this game is really just taking a pig, turning it into pork chops, for example, or taking grapes and turning it to wine, or taking wheat or olives and turning it into food. And it's just refining the good into this product to satisfy delivery requests, for on the main board, which is like the village, or in your wheelbarrow. And essentially, your barrows are transported to the village where you'll take a shop stall, and we'll go into that as we go along. But the beauty of this game, at least in the mechanics that make it so unique, are in the cards. So we start with 4 cards, and the cards in this game, if you know anything about La Granja, or La Granja, I'm not even sure how that's pronounced, but the beauty of this game is the cards have multi-use, right? So you've got the top, the left, the right, and the center bottom all have a different purpose depending on how you play the card on your player board. Alright, so to take this even a little further and give you some more detail, and I'll go through this briefly because this isn't meant to be a tutorial in any way. This is a playthrough, but in order for you to understand the playthrough, you kind of need to understand the components and the cards. So up here we have what I consider basically a work order, right, for this wheelbarrow. And this is actually something that I can complete, and this down here is what I'll take as a reward. I get to set up shop in the town, I get to earn 4 victory points, and I get one of these goods, right, these wild card goods. So that's if I play the top of the card. If I play the right side of the card, I get an additional card added to my hand limit. I'll get some income, 1 silver per turn. I'll expand my pigsty, and I'll get more pigs. If I use the left-hand side of this card, I get to I'll add a field to my farm where I can grow grapes, right? So there are a number of different things. And then in the center, you've got a laborer you can hire. And each laborer, so this harvest hand, he has special text abilities that can be activated, or they're passively used, and they have effects throughout the game. And we'll see that as we play through. And we're going for victory points in this game, so we're going to try to score as high as we can and complete as many orders as we can, as possible over the 6 rounds, in order to come up with the highest score. Now, for the solitaire game of La Granja, there are 2 main phases that are going to be played differently than when you play a multiplayer game. All right? And the first of those is the revenue phase, and the second is the transportation phase. And I'll explain what we have to do as we play through those. But let's take a look at the turn order real quick, and I'll show you what we get to do each turn. Alright, so our player aid is going to show us that we follow these main 4 phases. So you've got the farm phase, you've got the revenue phase, the transportation phase, and then the scoring phase. Farm phase, and they're all pretty simple. It's all icons, and you'll understand them. They're pretty basic once you learn them. So this here is play a card, and then draw to your max hand limit. Collect income, if applicable. Harvest, and then purchase a roof tile, right? Real simple. Boom, boom, boom. Once you play through that and you're finished, you move on to the revenue phase, where we're going to roll dice, and then we'll use the revenue board to collect our revenue, depending on what dice are rolled. Where you'll get to play or choose 2 of the dice, and then the last die you get to basically use as well. So the 2 plus the 1. And that'll make sense when we start doing it. The third phase is transportation, where we actually start transporting goods and completing our orders, right? So we're going to get to choose one of our 4 moves, and we don't get to use it again until the 4th round, when we get to shuffle them all back in. So you've got the 4. You use 1 for the first, 1 for the second, 1 for the third, and then you refresh them, and then you'll have all 4 again. We would adjust our siesta track, which is just another way to determine turn order and get some extra victory points. So you would choose which donkey card we want to use, move up the track for siesta, make our deliveries, and then pay 1 silver per extra delivery up to our limit of extra deliveries. And I'll show you how that works on the player board. And then we go into the scoring phase, which is we score for each of our player markers in the market that we have. We get 1 victory point for that. And we get victory points for however high we are on the siesta track. We adjust player order depending on the siesta track. And then we basically refresh the roof tokens, the roof tiles. So that's it, and then we repeat. Now, there'll be a lot more to each of these phases, and you understand that, and I'll have to explain the differences, or at least some of the new rules for the single player variant, what we have to do for our opponent during these phases. So that's that. I think we're ready to go, so we should probably jump in and get started. Okay, so now that we're getting ready to start, what we do is we begin with the with phase 1, right? So we're going to get into the farming phase, and basically what we are allowed to do, and this is only for round 1, is we have to or we get to play 2 of our cards, right, in the farm phase. Normally you only get to play 1, but in the very first turn we get to play 2. So what I want to do right off the bat is decide, do I want to plant some fields? Do I want to expand on the right side of the board? Do I want to hire some laborers or some workers? Or do I want to start putting some stuff, some barrows up here? So what I think I'll do is I'm going to go for, what I think I need is some income, which would be ideal. So I'm going to play this card, and I'm going to play it for the right side, where it's going to give me an extra card in my hand. It'll give me an extra, purchasable donkey delivery in the delivery phase, and it'll give me a 1 silver, income, per turn. So by placing that card here, now I've basically just expanded my player board. But the first card I play on this side, and only on this side, is going to cost me 1 of any type of these commodities listed here. And I think the most simple one to pay would be a silver, right? The cheapest. So I have 1 silver. I could do it. I'm going to get it back anyway. So that's the first of my 2 cards I'm going to play. The second I'm going to play is, I think, another what seems to be pretty easy one for a decent amount of victory points, is this, where I'm going to get I just have to, well, do I want to do that, or would I rather do this one? I might want to do this. Might be easier. So I just need to basically deliver 1 olive, 1 grape, and 1 wine, and I'll get this as my reward. And to play this, I just put it here, and you'll see that I have these icons, and that card is now played. So that's it. That's the end of my card playing. So that's in this round. It's only time I'm allowed to play 2. And now I draw up to my max hand limit, and normally it's 3, but this card here gave me +1, so now I have a 4-card hand limit, so I will draw up to my limit, and this is my new hand. And that ends the first phase of the farm phase. Basically, it's draw, and play cards, and then draw. And now we move into the income phase. Okay, so basically you just follow the icons, right? So, you know, there's that, like, the needing hand, you know, collecting its money. So you just go over here. This is where it's going to be. These are all grayed out, so I don't have any of these upgrades yet, so I'm not going to get anything. Normally I wouldn't, for this round, I wouldn't get any income. But because I did this farm extension, I now have an income of 1 silver, so I just earned a silver. And that's it. Fair and simple. You'll eventually get some other stuff in here that will get us some, you know, either some commodities or harvest items and stuff like that. So we'll get that at some point, I'm hoping. And then, you know, these stalls here are for pigs, but we don't have any pigs yet. But as you can see, we can only hold up to 2. But eventually, we could expand here and be able to hold more, or at least allow to start breeding them as well. So that's income. Now we move into the harvest. All right, I always call it harvest, but it's called growth on fields and pig birthing or whatever. But had I played this card over here, for example, I would have been able to take advantage of the field here, this wheat field, right? And then on this phase, it would have actually grown a crop. If I had 2 pigs, they would give birth to a 3rd. I have none of this right now, so I don't have any fields, and I don't have any animals to breed. So I basically just skip that because I don't get to take part in it. All right, and the next phase is to buy a roof, and I can buy a roof to get myself a pig, or buy a roof that would allow me to get to play or draw a card. I do have 1 silver. In the first round, it only costs 1 silver, so I'm going to spend that silver, and I'm going to buy the pig roof. Okay, so the pig roof goes here, and at any time, I can turn that over and play it to earn a pig. And I think I'll do that right now. And to show that I earned a pig, I just simply place one of my markers in the pen. These markers basically represent anything, you know, that's for whatever square it's in. So you can use the same markers, but so that marker represents pig. That same marker could represent olives the next round. You know, it depends on where it is. So right now it's a pig. So now I have a pig. But I'm only allowed to buy 1 roof, and that's it for this round. Okay, so that ends the farm phase. And now we go into phase 2, which is the revenue phase. And this is really the dice phase. Pretty simple. So what I'll do is I'll take the 5 dice I have, I will roll them, and I will put them to the left of their corresponding numbers. So 1, 2, and 3. Now, this is where I will alternate with my opponent depending on when their turn is. So my opponent is number 2, so he gets to go first. And for the simple rule for this phase is as follows. In rounds 1, 2, or 3, the opponent will take the lowest die available each time. In rounds 4, 5, and 6, it will take the highest die available. So considering we're in round 1, and he goes first, he's going to immediately take the lowest die off the board. So I don't get to pick that one. And now I get to pick one. And I can pick any one of these. And what I think I'll do is I know he's going to pick the 1 again because I rolled a lot of 1s. So he's going to pick a pig. I don't really need that pig because there'll be another 1 for me to take. So I could take any one of these 2, which is fine. So this one here allows me to take 2 of these items that are not the same. So I can take 1 olive, 1 grape, or 1 olive and 1 wheat, or a grape and a wheat, and I'll do that. I'll take probably a grape and an olive. And the reason I took a grape and an olive is because they are some core ingredients for my market barrow up there. So my grape goes here in the grape shed, and my olive goes up here. So it's more like your storage, right? So I'll have my fields, I'll have my storage, and then I'll have my upgrades. So I can turn any of these items into food and any grapes into wine for a cost. So that was my die choice. Okay, so opponent takes the next low die face, and then I choose the next one, and I will choose, well, I'm going to choose this one, it's the pig, so I'm going to give myself another pig, but then, you know, I also get to take the last action on the table. So we each took 2 dice plus the 1 final die to use. So I'm going to get a pig, and then I get any one of these items. So I think with this, I'm going to take another grape. So I'll get a grape and a pig. So I shall put another grape, and now I have 2 pigs, and I've got no more room for pigs. So in the breeding phase, they will not breed unless I can add another pigsty or turn one of them into pork chops. Then they won't breed anyway, but I think that's where we're heading now. Okay, now we move into phase 4, transportation. And this is where we get to choose what we want to do as far as how many deliveries do we want to make. So we have to think about that, and I don't really know. I might just do 2, to be honest. I think that's probably it. So let's take a look at the donkey tokens. All right, so remember, I only get to pick one of these now, and it's going to be tied up for the next 2 rounds, and they're not going to refresh, so I won't be able to use it again. But I know I want to use 2 donkey tokens. So this one will let me do deliver 4 items. Actually, it's a little bit out of order. 3 items, 2 items, and then 1 item. And on the right side are these siesta hats. And these allow me to move up on the siesta track, which in the single player game, unless you get up to the 3rd level of the track, you will always be the 2nd player. You won't get to go first. So you kind of want to get up there. It's not critical, but the higher you are on the track, the more victory points you earn every round, so it is sort of beneficial. But I think for this round, I'm going to do 2 donkeys and 2 hats. So these will stay for the next round, and I'll put this on my board. So the donkey token goes right up here, and that's what I'm going to do for my transportation. And before I really do anything else, the opponent has to draw a card and place a player marker in the market. So let's see where he's going to go. So the player market, you'll see we each have our starting tokens there, right? So basically, however many tokens you have out in the market at the end of the round, you'll earn a victory point for. So you want as many of these out here as possible. However, a rule about placing these things are basically when I complete these barrows, these market barrows, they're going to give me a victory point number, and that number will be the number of the stall I can take. If I put it adjacent to any other stall that has a lesser number, those tokens are removed from the board. So I don't want to impact, and I don't want to basically push or over-compete with my own stalls, so I'm going to use them as a tactic to get rid of my opponent's markers, right? So I can kind of spread. Because as he puts more of his on the board, he's going to be doing the same to me, knocking his off. And the rule in the book for placing his tokens are in a space that's going to, remove the most of my markers from the market as possible. So the way we do this is we draw a card, and we basically look at the number here. So he gets the number 4 stall. So he's going to put a marker on a 4. Now he wouldn't put it here because he would wipe out both of those, including his own. So he would put it here because now he's going to wipe me out because a 4 is higher than my 3. So I get knocked off the board. So that's the ideal place for his placement. And if I were playing, that's probably what I do to knock him off the board as well, to keep my own piece on the board. But now that he's done, I get to go and perform my transportation and make my deliveries. Okay, so if you recall, I have 2 siesta hats and 2 donkeys. So the first thing we do is actually move the siesta hats, and it's not a big deal, but I'll show you what we do there. So on the siesta track, we move up 1, 2. So that's going to earn me a victory point at the end of the round. And now we get to take advantage of our 2 donkeys. So, oh, that didn't sound right, but we are actually going to get to make our deliveries. So, like I said, I'm going to move one of my olives here to my market barrow, and I'm going to move one of my grapes here. I'm still short, however, some wine. So what I think I'd like to do is cash in this good here. And I'm going to cash it in for 4 silver, and I'll show you why I want to do that in just a moment. So I'm going to take 4 silver from the bank, And I'm going to take an action, a free action, and I'm going to spend 3 of that silver to turn this grape into wine. And it's called an upgrade. So I've upgraded this grape into wine. Now, you notice I don't have any more deliveries, but I do need that wine for up here. But the turn's not over. So at the end, after you've spent your donkeys, we now have an option to spend 1 silver to take another delivery action. And if you look at my player board, I'm able to do this twice. I have 2 extra purchasable deliveries that I can pay a little extra coin, slip somebody some extra cash, and they'll walk my donkey into town. So I'm going to pay $1 to do this once, or 1 silver. And what that's going to do is I'm going to say, you know what, take this wine, put it in the wheelbarrow for the market, and I want you to get that to Market Square. So now that this is complete, I earn these rewards. So I get one of these wonderful goods back that I had spent already, and now I get to place another player marker on the board in a market stall with a point value of 4, and I also collect 4 victory points. So I have I could take a 4, so I can go here, or I could go here, or I could go here. So I think we'll be safe to go, I guess maybe I'll go here. And that will remove this 2, because I basically pushed him out of the market. And I get a victory point for that. So this whole thing netted me 5 victory points. 4 for completing this, and 1 for pushing my opponent out of the market. Okay, so I also like to flip these over. Got my trade commodity there, it's nice. So this is complete. Once they're complete, you discard them, and that finishes that. So now we move on to the scoring phase. Alright, so scoring phase, I'm going to get 1 victory point for every player marker I have in the village, so that would be 1. I'm also going to gain my victory points for wherever I am on the siesta track, so that's another 1, so that's 2 victory points. I reset this back down to 0. I'm going to remain the second player again because I didn't get up to the 3rd space. And then we're going to reset all of these. So this gets discarded, and then we reveal the 2 round 2 roofs, and now the cost is going to be 2 silver each. So I got to just collect my 2 victory points, and we can move on to the next round. So that ends round 1. Let's move on to round 2. Okay, so now we're on the farm phase. So the first thing we do again is we get to play 1 card. So I just have to decide what I want to do, and this is where it gets tough, because do I want to put another market barrow up top to work towards? Do I want to put a field out there? I don't have any silver, so I'm not really going to be able to extend unless I trade in this commodity, which I think I will. So I'm going to trade this in, and I'm going to grab myself 4 silver because I need some money. So because what I want to do is I want to expand my farm, and this is going to, since it's my second expansion, it's going to cost me 2 of my 4 silver. So I'll get change, but I'm going to expand it again, and what this is going to do is give me an additional silver income, an additional card to my hand limit, but also another pigsty, and I want to be able to breed piggies, because it'd be kind of a waste not to if I can. It's just a free resource, right? So that's all I can play, my 1 card. My hand limit is now 3, 4, 5. I've got 3 in hand, so I will draw 2 more. 1, 2, so I'm back up to limit again. I unfortunately don't have any market barrows, but I can make deliveries to the town to try to complete some of those crafts buildings, so we could do that as well. Okay, so we've played our card, we've drawn our card, let's go to the income. Now we've got 2 income, so I will take a 3 and drop one of my 1s back for change. So that's it for the income phase. Now we go into the growth phase, and since we have the space now, we get another piggy. So we have a baby pig. We don't have any fields yet, so we don't get to grow crops, but now we get a chance to buy one of the roof tokens if we'd like to. Alright, so as you can see, we have the first token allows me to advance one space on the siesta track, and one of them gives me a pig. Not ideal. I really don't really care for those two, so at least not for 2 silver. So I'm gonna pass this round and not buy a roof. I don't think I need it, so we'll move on. Alright, so that ends farm. We move into revenue. So we're gonna roll the dice and then place them. So we've got 2 5s, 2 4s, and a 3. We are in round 2, so he goes first. He's going to take the lowest one off the board, which would have been nice. This one here is actually quite nice. This will allow me to upgrade two of my items, like like food. I could turn grapes into wine, or anything into food, or pigs into pork chops. So I could do 1 upgrade and 1 siesta, or 2 siestas. So I think that's a good one, actually. But I also do like getting 4 more silver, so I know he's going to at least take 1 of those, so I might as well just take the 5. So I'll take the 5, and I'll do 1 upgrade, 1 siesta. I'll upgrade 1 of my pigs to pork, and I'll move myself one up on the siesta track. Pretty simple. He's going to take the next lowest, and then I'm going to take that, grab myself 4 more silver, and then I get to advance 2 or go up 2 more on the siesta track. I think I'll do, why don't we do advance, we'll do 1 and 1 again. So I'm going to advance up 1 more and then make another pig into pork. I'm not going to be able to breed next round, but that's okay. I can get more pigs if I need to. Second thought, I'm gonna take that pig back to be a pig, and I'm gonna actually take the 2 rungs on the siesta track. So I made that correction on my board. All right, so now we move into the delivery phase, and since we're still second player, let's pick the card for the opponent and see where he's gonna place one of his markers. All right, so we draw the top card. He gets another 4, and he's gonna try to swindle me if he can, but he can't. There you go. So I guess he'll just go here. That's the next best spot he can go. So that's fine. Good, he didn't knock me off. Now I get to pick where I want to deliver, so let's get with that. Alright, so I'm going to do 3 deliveries here. And I will explain why. But first things first, I'm going to spend 5 of my silver, and I'm going to buy a pig. So if you see here, actually no, I can't buy a pig, I can only buy pork. So I'm not going to do that. Give me that back. Give me back my 5 silver. What I guess I'll do is transport. Alright, so this is what I'm going to do then. So remember, I'm going to do 3. I get 1 siesta and 3 deliveries. So we're going to deliver 2 pigs and a pork chop. Okay, so remember, I got 3 donkeys and a siesta. So I'll move my siesta up, and that'll definitely give me the player 1 slot next turn, because we are in the 4th space. I don't have 3 items to deliver, but I had to choose at least a 3 because I'd used the 2 the prior, so that was the only one I could use. So I'm going to deliver 2 of my pigs, my only 2 pigs, and I'm going to bring them here. So what that's going to do is get me 1 step closer to completing that order, and that'll unlock another one of these and then give me this bonus as well. So we'll hopefully be able to bang that out next turn. But that's it. That ends it for my deliveries, and we're going to move into the scoring stage. Alright, so I still have my marker on the board. That's 1 victory point. And if we look at the siesta marker, we'll see that I get 2 more. So that is actually 3 victory points. And I'll reset him, and we'll collect those victory points. Alright, victory points collected. We can discard these unpurchased roof tiles and bring us into round 3. Alright. Let's kick this off. Alright, so we are back in the farm phase. I get to play 1 card, and I am really hurting for goods. So what I think I'll do is I will plant a grape field. So this is a free to do this, unlike the expansions where I can just create a field. And now I will start to grow grapes, which will hopefully help me out. I get to draw up to my hand limit, which is still 5, and then we go on to collect our income. Income is still 2 silver. Take 3 more. I've got a pretty good amount of money now, so let's go on to the growth phase. Alright, no pigs, but we are now growing grapes, so that's a start. Now let's see, I definitely think we are going to buy a roof tile this time though, so let's see which one, well I think I pretty much know which one's going to be it. Alright, I think I'm going to buy this one, which will let me take any harvest good, and I think we'll take olives right away, so I'll place it and then use it. Alright, so a couple things are going to happen here. I'm going to spend my 3 silver for it, right, because that's what it cost me. I'm going to place it here, but if you see, I get a victory point for actually placing and expanding my building to this square, but then I'm going to immediately play it and then collect 1 olive, which I will put in my olive den. And that is that. We're ready to move on to the revenue phase. Alright, now that I am the first player, I get to pick first. So we are in the 3rd round, so he's still going to go after the lowest number. So if I want a pig, it is in my best interest to take it now. And I think I will do just that. I will take the pig. So I will add a pig to my farm, and he will take this one, which would have been nice, but it was either... Yeah, I probably should have taken that, but I think I will. I needed that pig, though. I absolutely needed that pig. So he's definitely going to take this, so I might as well do it. And I will... I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to make wine. I'm going to turn my 1 grape into wine, so that will be 1 upgrade, and then I will move myself up 1 on the siesta track. So that's what I just did. So he takes this, and then we both get to do this. So I either can make a delivery now, or I can collect 2 silver. But what I think I'll do is, I think I'm going to make that delivery. I think I'm going to do that right now. Alright, so I will move my pig that I just earned in the revenue phase to complete this order. So this building here is called the Butcher. And what I do now is I move 1 of my tokens here to show that I've completed the Butcher. And I collect that victory point. These guys go back in the box. I also collect this tile, and I would immediately score 1 point for every market barrow that I had in my on my player card, and I don't have any, so I don't get any points. So that's unfortunate. But this is going to stay on my player board, and will give me a bonus of +1 every time I complete a market barrow from this point forward. So this goes right here in its spot to remind me that I have that bonus. And since I completed the Butcher, now I've unlocked the village store, and I collect another victory point. Okay, so we are in the transportation phase, so I get to go first because I'm the first player. So I'm going to do a 4 donkey delivery. That's what I'm going to do. So I don't get any siesta points for that. But now we get to see where I go. Alright, so with my 4 donkeys, I'm going to pay 4 of my silver, and transport all four of it to the merchant house. So I'll start this one up. Alright, so that's the end of my transportation. Now let's see what the opponent's going to do. Draws top card. He gets a 4. It's one of those 4s. So where will he go? We'll go here. So that's that. Okay, so now we are into the scoring phase, and I get 1 point for having a market stall still. I get no points for the siesta round, so I only collect 1 victory point this round, which is not great. Reduce the siesta track to 0. Discard that roof and bring out round 4s. We also get to collect back all of our spent donkey tokens, so now we get all 4 of them to choose from for the remainder of the game. So that's good, well, at least for the next few rounds. But that ends round 3. We're about to kick off round 4. I think it's a good time to end the video. Please, as usual, leave any comments of any rules mistakes that you see. I'll try to add some notations. I hope you enjoyed the playthrough. As you can see, La Granja is a pretty unique game. So I hope you come back for part 2, where we take rounds 4, 5, and 6 out and see how well we score. So thanks for watching. Please subscribe, and I will see you for part 2.